I'm Wyatt.
And I'm Grace.
And you're listening to Our Dad and your host of the Vacation Rental Revolution podcast.
What's up, guys? Welcome to another episode of the Vacation Rental Revolution podcast. I'm your host, Shawn Moore, and I'm really excited about our guest today here, Marianne Heder, the Executive Director of Short-Term Rentals over at PMI, the largest and fastest growing property management company in the U.S. And Marianne and I have had a chance to spend some time and talk everything and all things short-term rentals, and I'm really excited for you guys to meet Marianne. So Marianne, thanks for joining us on the podcast.
Hey, how are you guys? Such a pleasure to be here. I'm excited to spend this next time with you guys and talk about property management.
Let's do it. And you guys, we'll dive right in. And Marianne, you and I have had the pleasure of be able to spend some time recently, the last couple of months, and diving into all things short-term rentals. And I always, I'm one of the only kind of coaches, experts out there that really that mentor people that really, I'm a big proponent of full service property management. And I believe that most investors are not looking for a second job. Most investors don't have the tools and the resources necessary to manage their own properties because there's a lot of, there's economies of scale when it comes to property management. But on the other side of that coin, it's the Achilles heel of the business. And it's really hard to find the right property managers. And, in the amount of time that we've been doing this and the thousands of people that we've helped coach and get into this game, I've never, ever partnered with a property management company that we actually put into our recommended partner section inside of our mastermind group until you guys, and I met you over at PMI. And so I'm really excited to chat about property management. You are about the most passionate person I know and have met in the hospitality space. And I love talking to you about that. And so I want to dive right in. But before we do, your backstory is very interesting to me. And I think it leads into why you're so passionate and why you're actually, so qualified in the hospitality space. And so bring us back a little bit. Tell us kind of the short version of the backstory, and then we'll dive into the not the short version because it's not interesting. It's very interesting to me, but just so that I want to dive into the details too of the property management stuff. So tell everybody a little bit about where you come from and why you're so dialed into the hospitality space.
Yeah, I love that you're bringing out hospitality because that is at the heart of what we do in property management. Really, What you are trying to partner with is a host. You've created a beautiful home and you've invested into this beautiful location, this beautiful place. And what you're looking for is somebody to represent you and be a host within your property. So my passion started when I was very little. My dad, I come from Cuban family. My father was an engineer at a 5-star hotel when we first moved to the island of Puerto Rico. And that's where I was raised. And so I spent every weekend rubbing shoulders with the rich and famous in this 5-star hotel, hanging out with everybody, thinking, oh, this is the life. This is the life I want to live. And then I would spend the time with the housekeeping team and the operations team behind the scenes, putting mints on pillows and figuring out and learning what it tastes like, looks like, feels like, all the work that it takes to create that 5-star experience. So from a very early age, I gained a taste for hospitality and also for the finer things in life. So I realized what it takes to create that and execute it and operationalize it, because it's one thing to want to have it, but if you don't know how to put it into practice, then that's where things get a little messy.
Yes. And I always say, and this leads right in beautifully to why I believe a property manager is one of the most important relationships we ever have as an investor. And when you speak about, it's more than the operations, right? The property management is operations, right? It's being able to deliver this unique experience, but it's understanding the game we're playing is hospitality and experiences. And you and I always talk about there's this line between the investor of buying a property and then working with a property manager, and we have to have this property and ultimately deliver an experience. Well, somewhere in between the property and the guest coming in and checking out and having this experience, that experience has to be curated. It has to be put together, and it's not always the property, right? And I think a lot of people in our space lose sight of the fact that we're not selling properties. We're not just selling beds, and spaces to sleep. We're selling experiences, and this is where where do we hand it off? And I'm curious on your thoughts and takes on this, because this is something that you and I have talked about a little bit. But I always tell investors, my job as an investor is to go find and underwrite the best deals. And I want to find these great properties in these great locations that have the potential to meet my property goals, right? And then what I have to be able to do as well is be able to go figure out and identify a target audience, curate this amazing experience, invest in the experience with the furnishings and with all of the things that we're going to put into that house to bring that property to life, give that property a soul, a story to tell, right? That we can tell that guest. We put that all together, and then that's where I believe the handoff is to the property manager to say, okay, now we've spent a lot of money on this asset. We spent a lot of money on curating this great experience for a target audience. And now I want to have the best partner possible that understands the operations and the logistics of delivering that experience the same way at a 5-star experience every single time that guest comes in. And, and being able to do that is a lot easier said than done a lot of times.
And done. I agree with you 1,000%, because scaling that and operationalizing it in a way that's sustainable across a portfolio, that is no joke. It takes a lot of work to do that, and it takes a lot of preparation to be able to do that. Being a host, if you guys already out there getting ready for Thanksgiving, you know what that's like, right? You got to get the house ready. You got to get the turkey out 3 weeks before, whatever, all the things that need to happen in order to create this magical holiday experience. Think about that in your short-term rental. People are going to be coming to stay, and all of the pieces of the puzzle that need to be in place prior to that guest arriving every single time needs to be operationalized. And some of it can be automation. Some of it is technology. Some of it is definitely the right host, because the right host will make every decision that is placed in front of them when it comes to managing your guest from the heart of hospitality, which is so unique, from the way you answer the phone to the way that you curate experiences to the way that you present and prepare for the guest to arrive and leave. All of that is a dance that happens, and it has to be curated and created way in advance, not just when they arrive.
And logistically, every single time has to be the same, right? We advertise these properties for this amazing experience. And like looking back, October, I have a property in the Blue Ridge Mountains in Georgia, and it's fall foliage season. And October is one of our busiest months. We had 31 days. We had 28 days booked out of 31 days. And people coming in and out all the time. People are coming in for honeymoons. People are coming in for anniversaries. People are coming in for really special events. Those are big deals for those people coming in. And we have to team up with the right partner that's able to put that and deliver that experience the same way every single time. And that's where I say a lot of property owners, it's easier said than done to say you're going to deliver that every time somebody checks in and checks out, and communicate at a high level every single time somebody has a question or an inquiry about your property. And so when you have the right property management partner, they've got the systems in place to be able to deliver that, so that when that honeymooner comes in, when that somebody coming for their a very important date on an anniversary or something, they come in and they're just wowed every single time. And we have to do it over and over and over again. But by doing that and delivering that, all of a sudden we're making, creating all these memories, and dreams are coming to life. And it's really, really fun to be a part of. And that's what hospitality is about, in my opinion.
I love that. And everybody wants that, right? Like as an investor, you're coming into the game and you're going, that's what I want to deliver. That's what I want to do, because you know that there's an economy behind that experience. It is called the experience economy, and there's definitely great returns on your investment based on how you deliver that experience. The travelers nowadays are spoiled. Yes. They want the very best. They want the hotel experience in a short-term rental. And so that it becomes kind of a sticky point. And I love that that's happening, because I come from the hotel industry. I love that we're creating a 5-star experience within a home, which is so hard to replicate, because in your own home, it's messy. It's you've got a lot of life, and it's the laundry, and it's the kids, it's the sticky fingers, it's all of that. But when they arrive at your short-term rental, they want to feel like that. They're at a 5-star hotel or a 5-star experience, not necessarily even the 5-star home, but the 5-star experience, regardless of the home that they're staying in, and that they can feel comfortable in that. And that is so hard to do, easy to say, hard to do. That's my jam here at PMI. It's what I want to build. It's what I want to create. And so across 400 and plus franchises across the nation, my goal is to standardize that experience, the way that guest is welcomed, and the way that guest feels when they leave the place thinking, I love staying at this place. I want to travel in a home that PMI manages all over again.
Yeah.
So it's a symbiotic relationship. I think and I are so well aligned because you help entrepreneurs create wealth and invest and do all the fun things that they need to do. They already come well trained and prepared in the expectations of what they're going to need to do in order to make this partnership work. And I train my franchise owners to deliver on that, to partner with you and just go ahead and deliver with you everything that you would like to see happen in that home. Our standards are high. And so I feel like that's another reason why we connected so well in our alignment for what we want to see happen in the industry, because I want to train hosts that will deliver magical experience consistently across the globe. So
love it. Yeah, love it. And you mentioned the experience economy. The economies of the reason why we do this is because we want to get our unfair share of business. We want to get that the top end of the revenue range in the space that we operate with short-term rentals. That revenue range, that gap is wide across every single market. You can have a 3-bedroom property in a market that has a wide revenue range. And it comes down to how great is the property? How great is the experience that you curated? And then ultimately, how well are you delivering that experience, right? And being able to deliver that 5-star experience. And it doesn't have to be the ultra expensive type of properties. A 5-star experience can be delivered in a budget property.
A 1-bedroom apartment,
yes.
And whatever. It has nothing to do with the location, although that helps, of course. And that's what you guys do so well. You help them find the best real estate asset in the right place that's going to rent the best. All of those things are important. Yes, they're very important. But what the guest is going to care when they see the thousands of listings next to each other on Airbnb or VRBO or wherever they find you, what they're going to care is, wow, this one stood out to me. I want to come stay there again because I felt like $1 million. Think about when you go to grandma's house, your sister's house, or whatever your favorite place to go is. How does it make you feel? That's the experience economy. And that's what we want to deliver. And it doesn't matter if it's in a 1-bedroom cottage to a 5-star hotel. It's people yearn and crave, especially now post-COVID and everything else that the world has gone through and is going through. They want connection. They want to feel welcomed and safe in a place where they can celebrate their families and the things that matter most to them. So, yeah.
And you brought up the fact that PMI is a franchise type of a company, right? It's the franchise model. And it's one of the things I love the most about what you guys have put together, because I've always been, up until the last couple months, I've been a huge fan of the smaller boutique management partners that we're able to find, because we get this, because I've always felt like able to deliver, because they're these owner operators, they understand the market, and they are able to deliver this experience because they're boots on the ground. They're this boutique feel, right? And a boutique feel a lot of times has a higher end feel. And a lot of the big national partners that we can have access to some of the best enterprise level tools and all those different things, they're great tools, but they lose that personalized feel on the boots on the ground, right? When you're actually communicating and doing that. And where PMI comes in, they've got owner operators. We've got this boutique level, like communication and personalized feel, yet they've got access to enterprise level tools, standardization that you're talking about, raising that bar in the hospitality. And they've got these economies of scale because they can tap into this major, everything that you guys have invested in. Yeah. And now all of a sudden we got the best of both worlds. And it's really exciting for me to be able to tap into a network like that, because you guys are well represented across the country as we are with our portfolios and investors.
Absolutely. It makes so much sense. One of the reasons why I partnered with PMI and why I wanted to work with PMI was because I wanted to make a difference in a large scale. I didn't want to I do have some investments, and I do manage short-term rentals in my own small portfolio. But the truth is that being a part of a brand gives you all the resources that you need as an owner of a real estate asset to come out of the gate and succeed as a professional. One of my favorite articles and quotes that I read was from, I think her last name was Pugner, from the Wall Street Journal. She did this report about a year ago, and she talked about professional brands versus small operators, and how small operators actually take about 73% of the market for short-term rental property management, but that the top professional brands are about 16% of the market. But that 16% makes about 20% more in revenue return on investment for the short-term rentals than a smaller operator. Why is that? Why could that be? Because number one, they have all the right systems to be able to maximize the return on your investment and create that experience in a standardized way. It takes systems to do that, not just a great operator, but great systems. And we've got the systems. But the cool thing that PMI has is that it has locally owned and operated franchises. So although they got me pounding on them, telling them when I look at those listings that I want them to look a certain way and please deliver the experience, and I'm looking at their reviews in every one of those listings, yeah, I can go down and disseminate the standard, the brand standard, but they are locally owned and operated. So they care about your market. They know the streets in which your house is. They know your neighbors. They know the things to do for guests. They're so well versed in the ecosystem of where your residence is. So many cool things.
Yes, it's awesome. And let's talk about like kind of the elephant in the room, because I know that people that are listening to this, and especially because I'm one of those that is a big believer in full service property managers for investors. I want to tell people why I don't manage any of my own properties. It's not that I don't know how to manage properties. Like I understand how to deliver an experience. I've been doing this for a long time. We understand what we would need to do, what it would take to do that. But we also understand the economies of scale, right? And the efficiencies of scale, because at scale, and my portfolio, I'm never going to be able to invest in the tools that a PMI can invest in, because they can buy them at there's these efficiencies at scale. And so we have access to a lot of different things. But the biggest reason is one, it's time versus money. I mean, it's my largest expense on every single one of my properties is property management, is my largest variable expense, right? I budget and underwrite 30% for every single one of my properties. That's a large expense item. However, what you just mentioned, by having really professional management and being able to raise the bar, and I can focus on the things that we do really, really well, which is buy great properties and curate these great experiences, and then somebody else can take the time and deliver them. My time is much better spent building that portfolio and going out and curating these great experiences, finding the great opportunities, and then tapping into some of the best partners in the business to help us raise the level. And ultimately, we make more money. Even paying that expense, our gross revenue has nothing to, everybody talks about gross revenue. I want to know what I'm putting in my pocket at the end of the day. I want to know my net. And if when it raises my gross, who cares if those line item expenses are there if I've got the right teams in place to put more money in my pocket at the end of the day? And I think it's the biggest mistake in where especially inexperienced investors getting into any sort of asset class, they think that it's not, they don't look at the cost versus value equation when it comes to certain expenses, specifically property management, especially when outside influencers are saying, oh, you can manage these properties from a laptop for 2 hours a month and that's all you have to do. It's not the case. It's not the reality. It sells, right? It's a message that people buy into because we want to buy into it, but it's not the reality. And at the end of the day, we know how much more money we make as an investor on our properties when we have full service property management. And so that is why I do it. And the other reason why I do it, and I tell people, even within our group, we have people in our group and our members in our mastermind group, we have people that manage their own properties, but it's probably 5% of our group. And some of them do a beautiful job of it. And they do it because they love it. They're dialed into the hospitality space and they do great. Those people that dive in and they say, well, Shawn, it's not going to underwrite very well if I don't manage my own property. They struggle and they don't like this asset class because now all of a sudden they just gave themselves a second job that they didn't really anticipate when they got into it, right?
Absolutely. I think a smart investor is always looking for that return on the investment, right? Like that's the bottom line. You put a lot on the line to be able to make this investment that could be a lifestyle asset for you, whether you're going to go stay in them and it's just kind of what you do, or whether it's for pure investment and return on investment. Regardless of your vision for this portfolio, you want it to perform in the best way it possibly can. And some people love it. And if you love doing it and that's your job and that's what you want to do, I love it so much for you. Come on in and join us and let me help you grow a business. That's fantastic. But if you want to continue to grow more wealth and continue to get out there and have a lifestyle that it's freedom, that it creates passive income for you, that it's well managed and maintained, then you need a professional that knows what they're doing, that you need to partner with. I realize it's scary because there's a lot of them out there that are not so good. And that's really, really scary to put that kind of trust on somebody. But the cool thing with PMI is we have standards. We don't just let our franchise owners do whatever they want whenever they want to. So they know they're held to a brand standard that they have to maintain. And that kind of right there should give you a really good sense of trust in where you're going and where you're heading. Is every one of our property managers the best property managers in the world? I would love to think so, but they're human beings. So the way that I'm doing this partnership is, hey, when a Odyssey lead comes in, I'm like, okay, handpicking. I am going to handpick my very best in Orlando. I'm going to pick up my very best in Ohio. I'm going to pick up and so you're getting a very different experience with this partnership than you would any other way, because I'm literally handpicking out of our very best for you to work with. But how awesome to make 75% of the revenue and relax and sit back and just get the money into your bank account once a month so that you can get out there and get another real estate asset, get a third, a fourth, a fifth, and just grow your wealth. It's thinking not short game, long game for your investment, for sure.
100%. And that's the key. It's the long game. I tell people these are long-term investments. And when you're building a portfolio of a long-term investment, one of the biggest knocks on short-term rentals is they're very, very time consuming. Well, they are time consuming if you manage your own properties, for sure. If you don't manage your own properties, they can be very, very passive. And now some of that time is front loaded, right? I don't outsource any of my underwriting and during the acquisition. I don't outsource you really dialing in and curating that unique experience that we're talking about. But after that, once we buy that property, get it set up to deliver a unique experience, I don't hardly do anything on my properties. I look at the calendar when we want to use them, and I look at the P&Ls at the end of every month, and that's it, right? They're very, very passive. And that's what I love about, diving in and dealing with really professional property managers. But you hit on it as well, and I always say it's the Achilles heel, is they're hard to find. They're really, really hard to find. It's my least favorite part of the process is interviewing and finding the right property manager for the properties that I just invested in. And
absolutely. So much now that when I allow, when we kind of watch the gate of who comes into the short-term rental pillar at PMI, I'm so careful to curate who is coming into our franchise now to manage short-term rentals, because it requires a unicorn. You have to have all the right mindsets, but if you don't have hospitality at heart, if you're just in it for the money and you're not in it for the hospitality, you're in the wrong business. Wrong business. So either, Mr. Franchise owner, you need to hire a property manager that works for you, that's super hospitality minded, or this is not for you. So that's part of what I do in the filtering process to make sure that we're getting the right operators to really represent the industry. I love this industry. I'm passionate about this industry. I love what it represents and what it does for humanity overall. I mean, it's very personal to me. So I want to make sure that the right people are out there doing the right service for those out there.
Which is why I love working with you guys and why I got so excited about your passion behind this, because that is exactly what it takes. Is when we're in this space, we want to continue to raise the bar. The expectation from the guests, now that this is a mainstream asset class and a mainstream accommodation choice for so many people, and a preferred accommodation choice, is expectations have risen. And the guest expects, enterprise level communication. They expect this crazy cleanliness, which we should be there, right? But everybody's like, this is, it's hard for certain operators to actually pull this off and logistically be able to do it, because they don't have the tools necessary. But it is expected at this stage in the game, and it should be. And being able to raise the bar, just like you said, don't play this game and be a property manager just for the money, right? Can it be phenomenal money? Yes, but you don't do it that's not why you would do this and jump into the hospitality space. You better love hospitality. If you do, now all of a sudden you're raising the bar for the entire industry, and we can tap in. And when guests are coming in and they have that 5-star experience, they're excited to come back. They're excited to come, give a review, talk about it. But on the flip side of that coin, we've also seen how many even influencers and stuff are like, hey man, you got to be really careful about Airbnbs and short-term rentals, because I just went to one and there was cockroaches on the floor and the beds weren't even made.
So bad. They give us such a bad reputation. And that's what it is when you get the wrong operator to manage your beautiful investment that it's a legacy home that your grandma gave you, or, whatever it is, the reason why you're hosting and having this property. It is a trust that you're entrusting to another person, another business holder to manage for you. And we take that really serious. At the end of the day, it's always about hospitality. I don't care how you spin it. You can make all the money in the world and become very, very wealthy. But if you don't have the hospitality, you're not going to make it in this game.
Yeah, absolutely. And And it is difficult to find right now, not because there's not a lot of well-intended property managers and people out there, but a lot of property managers got into this game in the last 2 years, and they were this blip in the market, right? Where everybody with a short-term rental was making money. And so they felt like they were experts in the space. They felt like they were doing things right. And they felt like, oh, this is the way the game is played. And they weren't forced to raise the bar, and they weren't forced to say, okay, the reality is I really do have to be a professional. I really do have to invest in these different enterprise level solutions, invest in myself, understand how to play the game. And a lot of them are struggling right now. And a lot of them are, if you're a property owner who goes and tries to hire one of those property managers that really doesn't understand it, and they've only been in the game for a couple of years, and they don't have access to the trainings, they don't have access to the tools to really succeed in more of a normal, mature market, then you're going to struggle as an investor as well. And so you have to be very intentional about who you decide to hire and partner with on the property management side. And again, that being able to tap into not only like we're how you're helping all the franchise owners at PMI be able to really raise the bar, and they have access to trainings, and you guys are working with them all the time, because they don't, they get the economies of scale of being able, they would never have the money to go invest in what you guys invest in that they can tap into, right? An individual property owner doesn't have that access. An individual property manager that's boutique that has 10 or 15 homes is not going to have access to those types of solutions. It's not going to make any sense to invest in the money into that, right?
Yeah, not only that, but let me tell you, the technology landscape in this industry right now is like crazy. It is so insane. I mean, I have an entire team sitting out here just with their heads down, trying to figure out what the right systems are, how to create the right communication, the lead nurturings, all of that needs to happen in order to really create that experience. It's all systems, and the systems right now are nuts. Like the consolidation in this industry and the crazy new stuff coming out that works and doesn't work. I mean, it's crazy. So just to take that off your plate and know that you're leveling up with a mastermind behind it that understands how to navigate the industry, that's a next level game. But even about that, I love what's happening in the industry when it comes to regulations. I love that the players that came in are not making it because they were all about numbers and not about hospitality. And plenty of those with the V word. And I love it because I feel like, there we go. See, this is what works and makes us stand out better than we even did before, because we know how to deliver that hospitality experience. So that local feel of the local market insights, the technology integration, the maintenance, and the cleaning services, which is the heart of the operation behind the scenes. Come on. Like, if you don't get a good housekeeper, you're out. That's so bad. And not only just the good housekeeper, but the quality control processes to check on the housekeeper, so that if they forget the garbage back out and the guest comes in, oh my gosh, all the things that can happen. There has to be such tight processes and systems that track all of that, so that you can create that standardized experience. I created a program called PMI Purify for PMI when COVID hit, and it was just, we wanted to make sure that we were spot on just not disinfecting, but sanitizing, and making sure we were keeping all the right regulations for the industry. And so I brought in a professional that built out our PMI Purify program. Every one of our properties is not just sanitized, but it's disinfected in the process. And from the encasements of the beds and the pillows and the beds and the mattresses and the couches and you name it, there's such a detailed, 90 plus step process that we follow every time a housekeeper goes into your property, because it's not just for your guest, the experience, but it's for you when you go stay. You should be treated like a guest. You should feel like your property is being maintained at its best. So maintain the value of the property, but also so that you can feel comfortable when you arrive at your property and can be treated like a guest too. So that's just one little piece of the millions of things that create that experience behind the scenes. So
yeah, and it's you mentioned about the money and the technology being spent in the space. It's pretty wild right now when you hear about the VC money coming in, the investment money coming in on the technology side, and really just trying to raise the bar for everything we're doing in the short-term rental space, and trying to keep track of that as an individual owner operator. It's really, really difficult. It's funny, we have our mastermind group, and we have like I said, about 5% of them that manage their own properties. And they said, hey, Shawn, can we do like a call with self-management? I said, you guys can do it. I don't self-manage. So I don't teach anything I don't do. So you're welcome to organize, because we have an amazing community, and they got together. But I was reading the thread, and I kind of just chuckled, and I told them this on my coaching call the other day. I said, you guys, your thread is exactly why I don't self-manage, because they were discussing in their thread the tools that they use. They're like, hey, can we let everybody share the tools and the processes that you use, and like what integrations you have in place? And I'm not kidding, Marianne. It would take, if I read them, there was about 40 different software tools that people were trying to put together and talk to each other and organize and manage between pricing and check-ins and checkouts and communication. And I'm like, there's no way that doesn't mess up. I know how that stuff works.
No system's perfect. Yeah, it's going to make mistakes and flaws will happen. And guess who pays? The guest pays, which means you pay as the owner.
Exactly. So, and that's exactly who pays. Even cleaning teams, for example, when you're a property manager and you're working with a professional property manager, they have teams. They have cleaning teams. They don't have a cleaning person, right? And so I had my property, I just told you, was booked 28 out of 31 nights in October. Imagine if I had a cleaning person and she got sick or he got sick. All of a sudden, I've got guests that can't check in and check out. And
you're going over there to clean that toilet.
And this property's in Georgia and I'm in Utah. So let's see how well that goes, right? It's not, it's very, very difficult to pull this game off. And no matter what people tell you on the outside, on the front end of this, managing properties for a couple hours a month on your phone or on a laptop and while you're on vacation is not how the game is played. And if it is played that way, it's not played at a high level. And so
for sure. I mean, the game it's all about occupancy, right? It's the quality of service that you provide and the experience you provide and how well you maintain those properties occupied. If you're doing it by yourself, you're probably listing on Airbnb and that's it, right? Like that's figuring out the game of just connecting to multiple OTAs and figuring out how many of them you can manage and payment portals through all of them. And, all the things that alone right there, syndication is in marketing of the listing. But what if I told you I knew that this was going to be important. So why don't we create a PMI travel site? And in the PMI travel side, you can come in and stay at any of the PMI short-term rentals at a discounted price. And it's the same experience at most of all of them that you go participate in. So that it's just a game changer when you have a national brand and that it's locally owned and operated. We understand the game of how to help increase the occupancy, which means increasing not just occupancy, but increasing the revenue per occupancy that you have, per booking that you get in your property. So there's a lot of math and strategy that goes behind all of that. And we train them very well on how to be able to maximize, because when you're with a property manager, it's a win-win game. Like if they don't win, you don't win. And if you don't win, they don't win. So it's a partnership. I want to make sure your property is successful because that's how I make a living, right? Yes. And I want to make sure it's right. So we both got skin in the game. And that's what I love about property management and the way that we price the point that is it's a percentage base. If I don't make you money, I don't make money, right? So my everything is to make sure that my franchise owners are making their owners money, good money, because that's how everybody wins. And in franchising, that's how it works, right? Because the franchisor makes money based on what the franchisee makes, which is based on what they sell. So that's all the symbiotic, which is so beautiful. It's what I love about franchising, because everybody wins. Everybody has main intent is for that next person to win, because that's how they win. And so I love that about franchising. I know that there's some of you operators out there that may be super interested in possibly even, hey, I want to do this. I want to get into property management and I want to get into building my own business and my own little empire in my market. Well, come on in. Let me help you. We can help you here at PMI be able to expand not just into the market you're in, but we can take you outside into any market. I have franchise owners that have expanded into Maui, Puerto Rico, they're spreading their footprint and their investment, and they're creating property management businesses to manage their real estate assets across the world. So it's kind of brilliant if you think about it, because you can even cut that out of the equation if you build your own business and build a business that manages your real estate investment.
Yeah, you manage. And I will say, like, when I looked at your guys' model, I was shocked at how really economical it is to tap into resources like you guys offer as an owner operator, to say, hey, I want to expand and I'm going to tap into these enterprise level solutions, this training that is just top notch that we've seen. And being able to say, okay, I'm going to take my business to the next level as well. We have a lot of listeners that are managing properties and managing other people's properties. And you ought to consider about looking into what you guys have to offer at PMI, because now when you talk about the support system, and I've met a lot of your executive team, we spent a lot of time, you and I spent a lot of time talking before we ever considered a partnership, right? And we were very slow to really look at this stuff. And we were really excited about what you guys are doing over at PMI. And if you are one of those owners that you're like, I love the hospitality space, I would love to not only manage my own properties and build, you're right. You can make money expanding their brand and managing other people's properties in different markets and everything else, and really understanding how to do that from a business standpoint. Tap into the PMI resource, and we'll obviously at the end of the show, we'll let everybody know how to reach out to you guys, figure that out, whether it's an owner who's really looking for the right property management partner to help them maximize their asset, because you hit on it, Marianne. It's the win-win-win that we're looking for, right?
Exactly.
That's what I want from a property manager, is somebody that's interested in allowing us and helping us maximize our assets. I don't want to just be a number in their inventory and we get our fair share of business. We don't maximize by getting our fair share of business. We maximize by getting our unfair share of business. And when you have a partner that's interested in their unfair share of business as well, and you are as an investor and you're willing to invest in that to be able to get it to the next level, your property manager is willing to take that and deliver next level experiences for your guests. And they've got the support from a franchisor that is helping them really maximize, because again, they're motivated to do so financially as well, to do that. All of a sudden, those things start to exponentially expand and you really start to maximize those assets. And as an investor on the front end, that's really exciting.
I love it. You got to leverage others' expertise for your own personal growth. And everybody has to win in that. If somebody's winning and the other one's losing, that's never a good relationship, right? It doesn't last. It actually breaks up, and then you got to start over, and it's just a really hard situation. Why not put the right expectations from the front? Let me win. Let me help you win, so that everybody can win. And then that's a lasting relationship that can be very beneficial for all involved.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, Marianne, this has been a fun conversation. We're gonna wrap up today's conversation. I'm sure we'll have many, many more, but it's been really fun having you on here, talking about I love diving into why I specifically choose to have full service property managers on my team, manage my entire portfolio. I love that we met you guys and what you're doing over at PMI, where we can now partner with you on our entire Vodacy family, our entire Vodacy portfolio. And then everybody out there that's listening, be able to tap into this resource that PMI has built, and that what you're really heading up is, in the short-term rental and hospitality space, and your passion behind it. So where should we point people? Where's the next step? I've got your, I don't know if you know your website. You just sent it over to me, but it's propertymanagementinc.com/Vodacy, but it's longer. I'll get it. I didn't know you sent it to me, and I was like, I better make sure that I know it too, but we'll put it in the show notes. But what are they going to find on there?
They're going to find so many cool stuff. From one, you're going to see our silly faces in an interview on that website, and so many fun things, you guys. It's all about filling out a form that lets us know who you are, what you're interested in doing, and then a member of our team gets back to you. Now, if you're if you're an owner of a listing and you're looking for a property manager, I want to give you a little bit of the correct expectation. It might take us about a week to get fully through the process, because I am literally handpicking the right partner for you in your market. So it doesn't happen. It's not an algorithm. It's not me throwing stuff out there. It's me trying to really make you successful and help our franchise owners be successful with the right partner as well. So that's what's going to happen if you're an owner of a real estate asset. If you're looking to get started in the short-term rental and you want to own a business that manages your investments, hey, come on over. It's the same process. Just let us know that you're interested in a franchise. And actually, I would almost rather a personal introduction to me, which is my name. My email is Marianne, MARIANNE @PMItravel.com. And I will be more than happy to connect you to our VP of franchise development, who can then help you be able to be successful and have the best experience during that process. So
Awesome. Yeah. Awesome. And that's a good point. Be patient, guys. When you're reaching out to PMI, it is a, about a week type of a process, but it's because everything is hand selected, hand picked, hand curated. It's going to go to Marianne. She's going to find the best fit based on the answers that in the markets that you're in. And it's not just feeding you into a system and having an algorithm spit out somebody for you to contact. And so this isn't a lead type of a machine. It's, hey, we're going to really try to find the best option based on what you have and where your property goals are, where the property is located, what you guys are really looking to do. So be patient for them to get back with you, but they will get back and make sure that they're trying to find the best solution for you as a property owner. And then those of you looking to really expand this into a business, man, I'd be reaching out, sending that email, and really chatting with these guys. I've seen the back end of what they offer. I've seen what it costs, and I would say that the return on investment would be very worth having a conversation.
I love that. Yeah, well, come on and play with us. Let's grow together.
All right, guys. Well, listen, we always appreciate your time. Marianne, thank you so much for spending it with us as well. And those of you listening, we know how valuable your time actually is. And so thank you for spending it with us. And you guys know at the end of every episode, I ask you and leave you with 2 challenges. The first one is, if you got any value out of this, help us spread the news and share the show with somebody you know that might get the same value. If you've got 30 seconds, leave us a review, give us a thumbs up on whatever platform you're watching or you're listening on. And then the most important thing at the end of every episode is for you to go pick that one thing that you can do today, start building that life you don't want to take a vacation from. Cheers, my friends.
Thanks for joining us on this episode of the Vacation Rental Revolution podcast. Share this with other people you think need to hear about it. And don't forget to subscribe and leave us a review. Hey Grace, is there a website? Yes! For more amazing content and expert advice, visit Vodacy.com. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you on the next episode.